We have reached peak second guest season. And 6 weeks into the Vikings schedule, let's talk about what the national talking heads are saying and whether it makes any sense. Let's get to it here on the Viking Update Show. He's John Krasinski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune. This is TalkNorth.com. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
Scott for Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. What if your water was so amazing you literally bragged to strangers? With Connecticut, enjoy softer skin and hair, dishes and fixtures that shine like the sun, ice that sparkles like diamonds, and worry-free drinking water. All of this, plus 36 months, 0% financing. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Financing based on credit approval. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, this is Randy Shaver. Along with Kevin Gorg, we host the show Fantasy Huddle on Talk North. Each week, we're going to break down the matchups for the NFL season and try to give you the best chance to win your fantasy football games each and every week. Join us for Fantasy Huddle on Talk North.
And the Viking Update Show is presented to you by OnX Hunt. We'll tell you about them and our other sponsors here in a little bit. John, let's dive right into it here. You watch the national talk shows and, you know, let's face it, it's an easy topic. We're going to talk about it. I'm not blaming anybody for kicking it around. You know, should the Vikings have kept Daniel Jones? Should they have kept Sam Darnold? And I understand it. And I understand that if you wanted to win, if you wanted to guarantee the most regular season wins in 2025, then keeping a veteran quarterback was probably the way to go. You know, and I'm going to stop right there so I don't taint your answer. Just give me your view on that talking point at this juncture.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I do think that some context needs to be added because Daniel Jones, the Vikings did want to bring him back, as far as I know, and he chose to go to a place where he thought he had a better chance of being the starting quarterback. And he picked the right spot because he won that job and he's done a great job. Also, let me say that while people were certainly intrigued by Daniel Jones and, you know, wanted him around, no one thought he was going to be like this. Like, no one saw this coming.
Nobody signed
Daniel
him to
Jones.
be a starter. The Colts were the only team willing to bring him in with a 50% chance of being a starter.
It's a completely revisionist history that way. With Sam Darnold, I do think like one thing that you and I did talk about leading into this season and that I brought up was that yes, things ended poorly with Sam Darnold the last 2 weeks, but I did think that there was a lack of recognition among Vikings fans and everyone that for the first 16 weeks of the season, he was a legitimate MVP candidate. And so I did foresee a possibility that at least in the early going, while JJ McCarthy was trying to get his bearings and figure this job out and get settled in, that they were going to miss that Sam Darnold early season, you know, great quarterback play, but that this decision was not really made for the very immediate future of this team. It was made for the next 5, 6, 7 years and building this team out and getting it to where they go. So the final part of this, and yeah, I'm sure we'll dive more into all this, but the one thing that I am bothered by, I guess, with this whole discussion is JJ McCarthy has been hurt. Like, we don't know if he's great or if he's terrible or if he's somewhere in between yet. Now, you do maybe say like, well, you should have known that he could get injured just given his body type and all of that and what happened last year. But it seems like a lot of the discourse around this subject has been already labeling JJ McCarthy as, you know, a mistake. And I just I can't do it. I can't get there yet because we haven't seen it. And I want to see more than, you know, 1.5 games before I say, yeah, no, this kid does not have it. And so it all reeks of, you know, just knee-jerk reaction, which is what runs rampant in the NFL. And that's the way that it is. And maybe they will end up being wrong. Maybe they should have kept Sam Darnold. Maybe they should have, pushed more for Jones or whatever. But all of the logic that was used to make the decision is still there right now. It's just an incomplete evaluation at this point for me.
Yeah. There's so many different ways we can go from here. Number one, the Vikings organization, and people in the organization, I know people in the organization, even at the highest levels. And every once in a while we have an off the record conversation with them just to catch up. What they care about is winning a Super Bowl. They don't want to win a first round playoff game. They don't want to win the division. I mean, they want to win those things on the way to winning a Super Bowl, but their goal is to win a Super Bowl. They feel like they owe it to their former players, their current players, their former employees, their current employees, what they believe is a great culture they've built. They want to win a Super Bowl. And when they watch Darnold not be able to function in the two biggest games of his career, basically looked like he was not up for the moment, they knew they had to move off of him. And I don't know how him playing well early in the season for Seattle changes that. Number two, here we are. Seattle is just now getting to the point where they're getting some national attention. They're on Monday Night Football last night. Darnold had, I thought, a great first half. What happened in the second half? What did he do against the Rams last year? He sensed pressure up the middle. He spun away from that pressure into worse pressure and got sacked and gave up more yardage and got strip sacked because he panicked. Last night, what happens? Drops back in his own end zone, sees some pressure up the middle, spins out into more pressure, gets strip sacked, gives the Texans a fumble, touchdown. The only way the Texans could have stayed in that game was Sam Darnold making those kinds of mistakes. Later, I can't remember the sequencing. He also threw late and poorly over the middle for an interception that, again, the only way the Texans could have stayed in that game is Sam Darnold making those kinds of mistakes. So let's just pump the brakes on Sam Darnold being the greatest quarterback of all time. And as we already said with Daniel Jones, 32 NFL teams could have brought him in as their starter. 0 brought him in with a guarantee that he could be the starter. He ended up, to his credit, picking an ideal situation. Anthony Richardson is not, I don't know if he'll ever be there, but he's not there right now. And he had injury problems, and he came off a year where he he damaged his reputation within the organization. And it's a really good team. And all they needed was a quarterback, and he's done the job. He's been brilliant. And then on top of everything else, what you said, you don't trade into the top 10 to get a quarterback and give up on him after 2 weeks because he got hurt. Could not be anything dumber. There couldn't be a dumber thought in the NFL than that. And it also brings the inherent fallacy of this thinking into play. What are people saying about Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, on and on and on and on? Well, boy, these teams didn't handle their young quarterback the right way. And look what happened to him once they were handled the right way. Well, do you think giving up on J.J. McCarthy after 2 games is handling the young quarterback the right way?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And I understand that the NFL is built for this sort of reactionary analysis every week. And, there is I don't know if it's a likelihood, but it's certainly a very realistic possibility that all these good tidings in Seattle right now, when you get down to it in December and in January, if they have to play and win and he flames out again, what are they going to be saying about Sam Darnold? Are you still going to be saying that the Vikings made the wrong decision? No. And the other part about this is that Vikings fans, and I think a lot of people who either cover or analyze the team or just kind of observe it, have been clamoring for years and years and years to go out and get yourself a young quarterback and just build around him and let him go with it. And this is what you sign up for, man. This is what you sign up for when you put a young quarterback in this spot. There are going to be bumps in the road. There are going to be tough days. Ask the Patriots about Drake May last year. ask, what happened? Like, he was good last year and he had some really good signs, but he also had some real struggles as well on a bad team, of course. But certainly there was that. Now he's freaking unbelievable in year 2 with a good coaching staff and all that. So if you believe in your infrastructure, in the way that you can build a team around a quarterback, in the coaching that you have for the quarterback and all of that, which I know they do believe in, then you just trust that our evaluation said JJ McCarthy was going to be a good quarterback. And especially in our system, he's going to be a good quarterback. You have to give him the time to do it. And, that's just that. We said at the beginning of the season, buckle up. It's going to be bumpy. Like, it is. But like, I would even be saying this. I would even be saying this, Jim, right now, if JJ McCarthy had played in every game and hadn't really played well, and they were, 3-3 or even worse, than they are right now record wise, I would be saying that you cannot make a decision on a young quarterback in this small a sample size, especially when he has not played. Like, he has not played at all. And so, one thing that I do think has been helpful in these last couple of weeks is we've really seen that Carson Wentz is not going to be a savior. He might be okay-ish. He might help you get by. He might be okay. But one thing you don't have to worry about is he's not going to be a savior and make you force your decision. Okay, who do we choose going down the stretch as our starting quarterback? No, like, now you can go back whenever, if it's Thursday or if it's next week against the Lions or whatever, you go back to JJ McCarthy when he's healthy, and then you just say, all right, let's put him in there. Let's give him a real chance, and let's give us a real chance to evaluate, because we just haven't had that yet.
That's exactly right. All right, more on the quarterbacks. We'll also get to the Chargers and where the Vikings are right now and whether we have the right to be disappointed in them losing to the defending champions. I probably do, but we'll get into that. We do want to tell you about Onyx Hunt, our presenting sponsor. Have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that? Or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs. That's where Onyx Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Also want to tell you about Twill in the Edina Galleria. So often when I talk about Twill by Scott Dayton in the Edina Galleria, that's twillmn.com. I tell you about all the really nice clothes I wear to my daughter's wedding, to special events, public speaking, sometimes when we do our live Talk North shows, I'll wear, my nicest Twill clothes. This is a shirt I bought probably 8 years ago. It's made by Faraday. I got it at Twill and just looked like a comfortable shirt you'd wear around watching football on the weekend. Wearing it today. I'm also got my Johnny O hat on. It's very comfortable. You can buy anything. You can buy stuff to golf in, stuff to lay around on the couch on, stuff to wear to your kid's hockey game when you want to be, warm in a cold environment. Socks, shoes, sports coats, tailored suits, ball caps, and flannel stuff, just flannel stuff that's perfect for late fall, early spring, winter, whatever. You're going to find something you like. It's the best sales staff. It's the best men's clothing store in Minnesota. Down to earth, relaxed, never any pressure. They just want to help you find what you're going to want to wear. You can browse by yourself. It's a small shop. It's not going to take you forever. Go check it out. Twill in the Edina Galleria. We're talking here on Tuesday morning, so we haven't gotten the final injury report. Vikings playing in Los Angeles on Thursday night. I'll be there for that game. Very tough ask, flying on a short week all the way to the West Coast and playing a good team. Not an unwinnable game. The Chargers have injury problems. They have offensive line injury problems. They're down their top 2 running backs. They're having trouble running the ball. Defense is pretty good, but not great. They just got torched by the Colts and Daniel Jones. I don't know. Just give me your gut feel where this team is right now and whether they're facing imminent disaster with short week game in Los Angeles and then the Lions coming up soon.
Yeah, I'll say, Jim, like, we looked at the start of the season and you looked at their schedule and, you knew the 2-year games, and coming out of the bye, you're looking at it, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is just going to be a death march through the next 4 or 5 games with the opponents that they had. But the way that the NFL season has played out, I mean, we'll talk about it, but the Philadelphia game was winnable on Sunday. That very easily could have been a Vikings win. Now that the Chargers are banged up and kind of scuffling, that is a winnable game. The Baltimore game, we'll see if Lamar is back by then, but it certainly doesn't look impossible like it did before, especially with their defensive struggles. And so Detroit looks really, really good, and who knows about that. But all I'm saying is that my perspective has changed on what this window of games looks like in terms of, I was kind of thinking, man, that might be 0-4, and then you're really, really scuffling. But I think they can go out and win the game. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick them to win just yet. Got to still look at a few things, but it's a winnable game. They never really seem to play very well, Jim, when they go west and especially go to LA. And whether it's a time zone change or whatever, I don't like it. And I'll tell you the other thing, you were there listening to Carson Wentz after the game, saying, oh man, I've never been a big fan of these Thursday games. And look, he's right. Thursday games are an abomination. It's terrible. It's hard on your body. Like, I don't think they should have them, but the leader of my football team, I can't have him saying that. You can't.
It's a chance to go win a game. Can be the only thought.
Yep. You can't off. And I assume that Carson is going to be playing in the game. So, I just don't think you can offer that kind of messaging to a group that just lost a tough game. You didn't play all that great. And then you're like, oh man, I wish we didn't have these games, and this is really impossible. And so for all of those reasons, I don't like the Vikings in this game, but this is not one that is just inherently a lose game, and it's a schedule loss and you move on.
Yeah. And let's get to Wentz. I thought he was terrible early, even before the 3-play stretch where in 3 consecutive pass plays, it's pick 6, throw the ball backwards out of bounds, and throw a Hail Mary for another interception. Even
on second down.
Even other than that, he had Addison wide open deep. He throws to the sideline. He was off. I thought he played a lot of guts in the second half. I thought he rallied the team, but as we said in the first segment, he's playing like a backup quarterback who was on the street in early August.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I will say, to reiterate your point, he is showing a lot of toughness.
Yes.
In this game in Pittsburgh, against Pittsburgh, he's taken a beating and he keeps getting up and he keeps going back into the fight, and he does make plays. Like, there are times where he's made some really nice throws, that he's hanging in the pocket and doing things, or he's using his legs a little bit when you can see that he's like, oh, this hurts. And he still goes and picks up first downs. Like, that's all admirable stuff from Carson Wentz. But to your point, that was a very winnable game against Philadelphia if they get, just solid quarterback play. The Hawkinson pass shouldn't have been that hard for him to catch. Addison, he missed the one that the intentional grounding play that he had, when CJ Ham was wide open. You can't do it. Yeah, let alone the interceptions. So if you have good, not great, but good quarterback play in that game, I think they can win that game. And so, but yeah, it was seeing him after the game, just the way that he sort of analyzed and talked about it, I understood why he was available, why he's bounced around. It's just, there are certain guys that you say, man, this guy is leading this group. Like, this guy is a guy that everyone will get behind, and that will, do everything that he can to get them over the hump. And I just didn't get that vibe from him, in that game, and, and going forward. So, he's a backup quarterback. and those are, I think, usually the standard is, right, if you're missing your starting quarterback for 4 games, can you go 2-2? I think he's a guy that you can 2-2, 1-3, something like that. But it's not going to be a disaster, but he's not going to be a guy that's like galvanizes your group and goes that way. So that's the Carson Wentz experience right now.
Exactly right. All right, let's get to the defense. First, we want to thank Minnesota State Lottery.
She's Jan, the ultimate Vikings fan.
Welcome to the Vikings Jan Show Fan Show. My special guest today is Victor, the Vikings mascot. Victor, who you got for the Vikings game this week? I'll take that as Vikings. So that's our show. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Minnesota Lottery, who reminds you this could be your year. So play the new Vikings Scratch game for a shot at $100,000, game tickets, and more. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
And here's Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
And if you can't tell, if you're listening to this, yes, you can also get the John Krasinski Show and Viking Update Show on our YouTube feed at talknorth.com. Check those out as well. We do appreciate it. So I had this thought pop in my head the other day because I went into the season thinking, okay, Brian Flores' defense, they brought some real beef in, some quality veteran beef up front for the defensive line. You know, you got Harrison Smith back. They like Theo Jackson. Isaiah Rodgers is a talented guy. They have Brian Murphy. And I'm now, 6 weeks into the season, 7 weeks, 6 games into the season. I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, how many difference makers do they really have on the defensive side of the ball? And I think my current answer is 3, and they can't keep them healthy. Grenard at his best is an excellent player. He's not having a great year. Maybe he's not having a great year because he's had to do everything, but he's not having a great year. Yep. Blake Cashman is a difference maker. He's been hurt most of the year. Andrew Van Ginkel is a difference maker. He's been hurt most of the year. I'm starting to just wonder about the true overall talent on the defensive side of the ball and the fact that they just can't seem to survive without those guys.
Yeah. And here's my view of that as well is, okay, you spent money on Jonathan Allen, Hargrave, and then you give Brian Murphy the money and you bring Isaiah Rodgers in. He had one amazing game and all that. I honestly think I will add one more name to this list that I'm looking at, and Jalen Redmond looks like a player. Is he a Pro Bowl or difference maker? I'm not sure, but man, like that kid is in the backfield all the time and making plays. But the point is that he was not one of your like ballyhooed signings. He was not one of your real significant upgrades. And so it's nice that you're getting some production from him, but what you need is your bigger ticket players to play better. And right now, I'm not sure what to say about Murphy and Rodgers, just because they're not getting any pass rush at all, man.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming them for the defensive struggles. I'm just questioning. I'm just talking about how many guys who are real different. And listen, I think Murphy's had a good year. He's and the fact that you hardly ever see him in the picture when passes are completed against this defense tells you a lot.
It's good.
He got beat on an AJ Brown touchdown. It's going to happen to everybody at some point. So I think he's a very good player. But I'm just kind of thinking about if you're in a Flores defense, you have to pressure. You have to have linebackers who can cover ground. So that are versatile. This defense doesn't look as talented overall as I thought it would look.
Yeah, it's a great point. And really what that does get to too, Jim, is the Dallas Turner conversation. Yeah. You draft a guy that high, you hope that he is going to be a guy who looks like he can be a difference maker. And there have been times this season where he's made some nice plays and you think, okay, maybe there's some progress being made, but he's nowhere close to like an impact player. And so, yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Murphy is a good player, but I don't think he's a franchise cornerstone defensive back. I don't think they have, anymore a difference making safety. I think your point is well taken that right now, this feels like a team or a unit that needs to win on scheme. Needs to win on game plan, on deception, on mind games and things like that. And Flores can do that with them a little bit, but they have not been the overwhelming unit that they want to be or will kind of advertise themselves as. Now, yeah, there's been injuries, but, the against Philadelphia on Sunday, I mean, to give up those 3rd and longs, to do those things, that's when a really good defense shuts the door. And they just have not been able to do that because when you put their talent up against the real talent in Philadelphia, which is really, really good, it comes up short. You just see it time and time again.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Thursday night. You said earlier you weren't ready to make a pick yet, so I'm going to give you 20 seconds to get ready here. I'll go first. I think it's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be kind of an ugly game. Mm-hmm. And both teams are well coached. Both teams have injury problems. I got to give the edge to the team that gets to stay home. And I also have to give the edge to their quarterback if it's a close game late. Both teams have excellent receiving talent. Vikings, I give the edge in that category, definitely because of Jefferson. But I just have a hard time envisioning Wentz and this team winning a close game there on Thursday night, as opposed to Herbert, who I think is very good at those kind of things. So I'm just going to I'm going to take the easy out. I'm going to take the better quarterback and the home team to win a fairly close game on Thursday night. Let's say 26-20.
Yeah, as I was kind of going through my filibuster and talking through things, and saying I hadn't made a pick, a pick was crystallizing in my head as I just talked through it, and I'm on the same page as you for a couple of reasons. One is, like I said, I think Carson Wentz is banged up, and so I think him going into a Thursday game is going to be a real challenge for him. Then you look at also just how he's going in begrudgingly. I don't like that vibe and that energy. The other thing is that I agree with you that I would take Jefferson and Addison over, the Chargers receivers. But when it's Wentz throwing the ball to them versus when Herbert is throwing to McConkey and Quentin Johnson, who have both had really good years, I think that that's a clear advantage for the Chargers. And the one thing about the Chargers this year that seems to make them vulnerable besides the injuries is that Justin Herbert has taken a ton of hits, but the Vikings don't generate any pass rush. And so if they can't get to Herbert and knock him around and make it tough on him, and he has time to sit back there or extend plays and let McConkey and Quentin Johnston get open down the field, I think that's a bad recipe for the Vikings. And so, unless they find a way to pull the rabbit out of the hat and put some pressure on the quarterback, I just don't think that they're going to be able to beat the Chargers flying all the way across the country on that short night. And yeah, I think maybe it's 20-17, maybe it's something like that. But, I don't have a lot of faith that this team is ready to dig deep and come through like that, in 4 days, even though I think the Chargers are a very beatable team.
Yeah. And if we wanted to do the classic second guess stuff, we get into the fact that O'Connell and Harbaugh were two of the finalists for the Vikings job, both, but I don't know. I just know how much there's to say about that. I mean, we know Harbaugh is a great coach. He just is. O'Connell, I think, is an excellent coach. O'Connell certainly fit the personality that they were looking for. Harbaugh kind of took himself out of the running the way he handled himself during the interview, like he'd already had the job. So I don't think we really need to go down that road or second guess anything there. I think O'Connell was a good hire and he's been a very good coach here. Harbaugh is such an odd guy. He's such a weird combination of odd personality and, undeniably great coach. He's just a fascinating guy to be around. I can't remember. We'll have to dredge it up and put it on social media or something. When Harbaugh left the 49ers to go to Michigan, I believe, and I might be wrong, but we'll correct it if I'm wrong. One of the 49er beat writers put out like a memo to the people who are going to be covering him in the future. Do you remember that?
I can't remember. But
congratulations on owning a Harbaugh. And it was basically like a car owner manual on all the quirks of this vehicle you just got, and it was just classic. It was fantastic. And one of the things they pointed out is Harbaugh can be incredibly engaging, and he can remember your name and have a conversation with you and ask about your kid's birthday. And then the next time you see him, he'll look at you like he's never seen you before, like he's never met you before in his life. He can have the best press conference in the world and get into football philosophy. And then the next time up, it's like mumbling one-word answers. He's a weird dude. And I love it. I kind of love it because I kind of love the quirkiness.
I do think I'm all for characters. I think that's a great thing. What I will give the Vikings credit for here in this decision was it is clear that and I did a bunch of reporting on it at the time and I think Chad Graff was with us at the Athletic at the time before he went to the Patriots. But, in talking to everyone as much as we could internally about the experience, they got the full Harbaugh in the interview process, which is great. He didn't try to be something that he wasn't. It wasn't, I'm selling this and I'm going to be different here or anything like that. So they got the full experience. And to their credit, I think they decided that, look, we don't want to be in the Jim Harbaugh business this way. And it's very easy to talk yourself into, hey, he's having success at Michigan. We would get a big headline by hiring
the 49ers, by the way.
Absolutely. Won a lot, but also he kind of burns out fairly quickly, short shelf life and all those things. And so if you want to hire Jim Harbaugh, you have to say, we are good with everything that comes with it. All of the quirks, all of the eccentricities, all of the weirdness, and we're just going to embrace it and go forward with it. I liken it to this. When the Timberwolves hired Tom Thibodeau, not long after, early on in the season, you heard kind of he yells at the officials a lot. He
doesn't say hello to any of the employees. He walks through the building.
Yeah, he's a hermit behind the scenes. This is Tom Thibodeau. You are hiring Tom Thibodeau. You can't be surprised at that. And so what the Vikings decided was look, he's a great coach, but we just don't have the stomach for all of that. So good on them. Yep. Good on them to understand that and do it. And to their credit, Kevin O'Connell's a great coach, bright young coach. He's going to be here a long time. All that. So they made a really good decision for them. It would have been really, really fun and entertaining to have Harbaugh here for a while, but it probably would end poorly. So I give the Vikings credit that they understood what their organization could handle and what they wanted out of that position. And that was not it. And so they said, let's go find someone else. And O'Connell's been great. So, it was good recognition on their part. And I think like Harbaugh sort of kind of got it by the end too. It's like, this ain't gonna work. And so he sent it out, I'm coming back to Michigan with the enthusiasm unknown to mankind and all that. So we're like, all right, here we go. Like, so yeah, that was it all worked out. I think he's doing well with the Chargers. He won a national championship at Michigan, and the Vikings have O'Connell. So all's well that ends well.
Yep. And we'll see if all's well that ends well this week in Los Angeles. We'll talk to you again early next week to set up a very interesting matchup with the Lions and to second guess all the second guesses one more time.
So we do.